What's happening, Pod Squad? This is cool. We have a returning guest. I thought you came on in like episode like 60 something. No, it was like episode 90. It was like only like 15 episodes ago.
Yeah, it was right off. It was right before you got to your lucky number 100. You didn't even let me stay for the 100.
Well,
Could have timed that better.
I think, don't quote me, I think we've only had one person come on twice before. So you're in rare air. This is exciting. So yeah, you don't get any like fancy intro. We just start talking. It's Bryce Harem from Central Paving. Yeah, yeah. Matt adds the sound effects for the claps there. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, this was a no-brainer to me. Well, I mean, you were bullish on coming on anyways, but this is a no-brainer because I feel like a lot's happened in 15 episodes. We're going to talk about PaveX. We're going to talk about BTG. We're going to talk about energy. We're going to talk about all of it. What's been happening in your world in the last 15 episodes?
We are busy. We are busy. We obviously shut down for the winters, but we did not slow down at all at Central Paving. Completely revamping everything from sales structure to operation structure, kind of flipped it on its head this winter. So it's been fun. It's been a lot of teamwork, a lot of guys diving in together, a lot of helping each other out. Just brought in on a new account manager, just hired her in yesterday. So she's coming up from Texas, going to join the team. Super excited about that. And we're starting to hear in 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks, we're going. So it's coming quick.
Man, that's wild. Early spring. Well, I don't know if it's early for you, but it's early for us here. As you can tell, because like the sunlight is like beating through this like apparently blackout curtain I'm radiating. Be a nice little plug for people to go watch on YouTube. Well, can I start with PaveX? Is that okay? Can we start there?
Start wherever you want. It's your show.
Well, good point. Thank you. Yeah. Buckle up. You're on the ride now. That was so cool. 5 Central Paving people there, I think.
Yes, we had Joel, the owner, myself, Billy, the sales account manager, Josh, Pave superintendent, Colin, the estimator project manager, and then also Matt, the maintenance superintendent. So 6.
6 of you. That was pretty cool. And you're a smart guy. You got lots of photos.
Yeah, not enough. I never take enough.
Me too. Great to see you in the flesh. Great to see the rest of the crew. Everyone from your company seemed pretty psyched to be there. That was awesome. And then I don't know,
that was our first time actually meeting face to face, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
It's a long way to go up here. I don't really get out much, you know. Yeah. It's hard. I want to talk to you about your presentation.
Let's talk about it.
It was phenomenal. I wish somebody filmed it. I know you're going to do it again and you'll probably tweak it and make it even cooler, which it was so amazing. You had this uncanny ability to get the buy-in of people from that room in the first 3 minutes. So people who might not have even really known who you are, I'm sure most people kind of had an idea, but like you had people like nodding and engaged in like minutes. How do you do that?
I'm gonna say I'll start with some dumb luck is definitely probably in there. It's the last couple of years more than anything. I spent a long enough time trying to be somebody I wasn't, somebody I thought I should be. It's gotten a lot more fun just being me. Um, I feel like I lead the team better. I feel like am present. I give more of a presence of people want to kind of actually interact. And on top of that, it was a big part of that presentation was about vulnerability and being real. And I think that's something that even at PaveX, even when we're all talking about development, it's not talked about a lot. And so it's like, wow. I mean, in the first 5 minutes, I completely humbled myself and told everybody how I completely failed in my first year, so it's
that's what got people like, oh yeah, this guy's real.
Yeah. Oh, I can fail too. Great.
Can I ask you something right off the hop?
You sure can.
I'm so laid back with you. I just interrupt. Yeah. that's what stood out the most to me about your presentation, and you actually had like a graphic that you put on the in the presentation as well. You had a list of, I think it was six different types of I guess you could call them personalities, but like kind of like avatars or personas of what we might be. I
You want
remember
to see if I can pull it up and we can share it?
please pull it up because I have questions about what you said right in the beginning, which is I feel like I can be more like me, and I'm wondering, well,
Let's
what were
see
you
if
trying to be?
I have bad luck. You already said I have bad luck with technology, but let's see if this can't be.
I believe in you. I believe in you. You can do it. Poor Matt's gonna try and edit this podcast on YouTube, and he's gonna have like a heart attack. Like, I'm gonna have to do screen sharing and stuff. Lol. Bryce has started screen sharing. There it is. Phase 2 demolition. Let's go.
All right. What you got? You got it? You see it?
This is the list. So it's the 6 personality types, toxic personalities, and well, I'm going to let you just kind of explain it, but it was fascinating because you basically asked everyone in the room, well, which one are you? And of course, no one puts up their hand because, like, who's going to be like, yeah, I'm a hypocrite? What does this mean?
So, first, I'll preface this with these are 6 examples that I have seen personally quite often in this industry. There are literally hundreds and combinations of all these as well. Um, the biggest part we talk about phase 2, that was the demolition when we talked about it, and that's truly the breakdown of getting awareness, having awareness of understanding who am I, and by that it's you got to know where you're failing, where you're falling down. You know, you got to know who you are to know where you want to build up. Um, this is you've heard me talk about the default character. You're really nailing down who is my default character because I talked about this, you know, on another podcast this morning. When I don't believe that a person can change their character. And that brings up very argumentative points at times, but I believe that you have a default character, and I believe you have a character of somebody you want to become, and you can choose. But that doesn't mean the default character goes away. And so the demolition to me is realizing, okay, what what person or what character do I need to be aware of so I know when to choose the other path? And that's what this is about. That's honestly what this is. It's also as much personally as it is for the people around you, the team. You know, you quickly find out what personalities are toxic, whether that's, you know, in a leadership position on the team, whether that's a new hire you brought in. You learn to pick up little red flags when you're interviewing, when you're talking to customers, when you're talking to inspectors. Um, when I watch videos back on myself of, oh man, I acted like that. But the idea, and I'm looking on my screen here as I've got it. The the idea behind this question is, are you aware? This, I believe, this is what I asked the rooms. Who here is aware of the type of person they are? Who's aware of where they fall short, their strengths and weaknesses? Who's aware of their personality? And a lot of people raised their hand. Now, a lot of people said, "Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I know who I am." The second question to that, if I asked everybody on your team, would they say the same thing?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I found that out about 3 or 4 years ago, um, when we did a peer evaluation from all of our team, where everybody evaluated other members on the team,
Mhm.
and it came back with, man, just I wish you didn't have so much of an ego. And I was like, what?
Somebody said that about you?
Yeah. And
Oh, dang.
this is where it hit home for me because anybody who knows me and anybody in that class, I was very open about my insecurities and how I'm actually a very insecure person. I have a lot of self-doubt. And so I'm like, I have no ego. I'm humble. But then it dove into, okay, well, why do they think that? now it's not so much of a, hey, you're wrong. It's, I did something. And it was almost for me in that time, what I boiled it down to is I was trying so hard to hide my issues, my struggles, being insecure, thinking I had to be this certain persona to fit that mold, that I was basically creating an ego to hide who I was at the time. Um, but these are some of my favorites. These ones, the confabulator. I always start with that one because uh, that one gets me every time. And that one is Brene Brown. She talks about it a lot in her book, Dare to Lead. And this one is really tricky because it's really hard to see. But and the reason it's so hard to see, so as you got uses partial truths along with what they believe to be true. And the tricky part about that is they don't believe they're lying. If you're a confabulator, if you're confabulating, you don't believe you're actually lying. You believe it's true because you're basing it on your narrative, what you understand to be the truth. So you take 75% of maybe it's something I said to the team, but I failed to set that final expectation or say that final clarification. So the leader makes an assumption based on what they believe to be true, and pretty soon the whole crew believes it
Yeah.
because you also say it with conviction because you believe that it's the truth. Um, that's but oftentimes the way you can kind of trigger that one is there's usually no basis of evidence that comes with it. There's not really a large stance of, hey, well, okay, prove it. Well, I don't have to prove it. It's right there. Um, the hypocrite, we all know the hypocrite. That's I talked about this one. I spoke at Ignite in December as well, and um, somebody asked me what's the most dangerous one for a leader in the field, and it's the hypocrite to me.
No doubt it's in the field, yeah, because you'll lose so much respect from the people you're leading, right?
Yep. And I would say it's not just the field. This talk was specifically about field. But when you got somebody who says they take a stance, but then doesn't take the same stance against employee A or team member A as they do against team member B, well, then you have no stance. You have no respect. Uh, it's a dangerous game to play. People, whether they play favorites or they pick and choose when they want to hold accountable, no, it's a failure to. It's more a issue with not wanting to be uncomfortable. I don't want to do that. I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to have that conversation. So I'm just not going to deal with it. Or you have a soft spot for somebody, so you treat them a little bit different. I mean, nobody has favorites, right? um, that's a very dangerous one. The micromanager, that I have a large part of that in me. I hate to admit that, but my personality does struggle with letting go of control. Um, the narcissist, um, I think everybody's got a little bit of narcissist in them, no matter what. I think
Yeah.
everybody has a little bit of that. Um, some more than others, but definitely believe they're special, above others and hold a sense of entitlement. Often leads through manipulation or intimidation, ultimatums. They go, hey, you do this or you are this. And I I don't know your take. I would believe I do, but I don't do well with ultimatums. I never have. And so I try very hard not to bring those into the mix. The robot, this was me in 2022. The year we failed, the robot, this was me in full effect. Um, I buried everything down. I shut everything down, and I managed. I ran everything as an asset, um, spreadsheets, numbers, budgets. You know, I didn't care if somebody was tired. I didn't care if I was pushing him too hard. It's the schedule calls for 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's what we're working. And we're going to do it tomorrow, and we're going to do it the next day, and we're going to do it the next day. And I'm not your friend. I mean, it sounds so bad to say now, but it was it was for some reason who I felt I needed to be the boss, you know, to be the person in charge. Um, and it wasn't the case. Obviously now I can look back and say, man, I can see why you failed. I can see why they didn't like you. I can see why they thought you had a large ego, because you just shut everything down. And then the victim, that's the last common one that I got on the list. The Nothing's their fault. You know, they want to point the fingers. They don't want to accept the ownership. Um, that's a tough one. They want the sympathy. They tend to maintain a negative attitude, obviously, at all times. Doesn't matter if, hey, you got a raise. Well, it's not enough. You know, um, exaggerates risk of situations. Uses words like can't or impossible. Um, I definitely try to avoid. Can't is a word that it's like a swear word in my house. The kids will actually call us out, my wife and I, out if we say it. And I'll say it. I did definitely slip it sometimes when I say, "Oh, I can't do that." It's like, no, I'm choosing not to do that. That's the difference.
Can you quickly tell the story about your daughter and coaching?
Yes. I don't even remember what part of the presentation that was from, but it's all about perspective. A lot of what I talk about in the middleman mindset stuff, it's about the willingness to understand and listen to different perspectives and see things differently. One of the biggest lessons I've learned in all this stuff the last couple of years that I've really dove into it is there's always another angle. And my daughter came up and asked, "Can I or will you coach me in basketball this year?" And I said, "I don't have time. Daddy doesn't have time." But I remember reading about it. I can't for the life of me remember where I read about what book I read it or if I heard it in a podcast. And it was change the sentence rather than say, "Daddy doesn't have time." I went back and said, "It's not Daddy's priority right now."
Ouch.
And it gives me goosebumps right now. It hits different. And what I challenged everybody in that class to say was anytime you say you don't have time, because that is an excuse that I absolutely despise. There are times when you can't get it all in. See, I just said again, can't get it all in. Um, so you have to decide what the priority is. And sometimes it's not the priority. But if you rephrase, "I don't have time" with "it's not my priority," you quickly find out what your priorities are. And there was no way Daddy wasn't coaching after that.
I mean, it's so applicable for parenting, obviously, but just think about like
Not just parenting too. I mean, I read it. I've done it now. It's oh, I don't have time to train that guy.
that's it.
So training him is not my priority.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I don't have time for that one-on-one. No, that one-on-one's not my priority. Um, I don't have time to talk to you tonight. No, talking to you tonight while I'm, at home, it's not my priority. And sometimes that one is a tough one. Sometimes it's not. Depends on what's going on. But if somebody's really going through something, I've always said I'll be there. And so, but when you start reading those sentences back to yourself, you write them down and you read them back, man, it gets you thinking, and you quickly decide which ones are your priorities and which ones aren't.
So true. I feel so strongly about this too. Like when people, they either they found companies and they start hiring, or they're placed into a position like yours, right? Like you're managing a team of people or multiple departments, and like your priority has to be other people. Like it just has to. We just had Keith Calloway on the podcast, and it's like that's a perfect example of a guy who's figured that out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you don't have the luxury of being a micromanager. Well, you could you could be a micromanager, but yeah, try watching what happens to your people, right?
It's 100% true. It's a the whole that whole idea of it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
Everything here is bigger than me. And I don't know if I truly, to be honest with you, it's there's people that this clicks in their early to mid 20s and they just get it. For me, I'm 37, man. It took me to 35 to get it. So,
Yeah.
um, but it's so much bigger than me. And when I correlate much of what we do back to team sports because that's what I played. I played team sports growing up, and there's such a correlation when it comes to team sports of it's it's bigger than me. There's 10 other guys, there's 50 other guys, however many people are on the team. Um, I'm just a piece. I'm just a piece of that puzzle.
Man. Well, good for you for figuring it out because it sounds like with what you guys are doing at the paving company at Central Paving, like it's going to require a lot of well, a lot of emotional intelligence probably when you start restructuring things and people change is hard, right? Change is really hard for people. So I'm psyched for you. Is there anything else before we drop the screen share? Is there anything else? And hopefully I think we did an okay job explaining that for people listening. I think go well if you're listening, go watch it on YouTube. But yeah, understanding like these types of personalities and where you fit in. It clicked with I noticed that it clicked in the room immediately. People were like, yeah. Yeah, even in me, I'm like, so I'm never a micromanager, and I'm not a robot, but like a confabulator and a hypocrite, absolutely. Like I'll twist things if I think it'll make me look better or make the situation better. Now I try really hard not to do that, but that's absolutely my instinct. I'll never micromanage somebody. I could care less, but like, yeah, there'll be two standards if I'm not careful. Absolutely.
And I look at this, I said it in the class because I'll look at this and it is, I mean, if I truly break it down, I'm bits and pieces of all of it, depending on the day and time.
Sure.
And I think everybody raised their hand when I asked that too. How many feel they've at least one of these? How many feel like they've got parts of all? Everyone raises their hand because when you're actually real with yourself, you're like, well, dang, man, I guess I have, disregarded emotions. Yeah, I guess I have blamed others. I guess I have been a little bit of a narcissist and figure I deserve something at some point. Maybe Cam hasn't micromanaged, but I know I have.
Oh, I've probably done it. Yeah, I probably have.
I think I asked, I went over this in the beginning that I was very insecure about this presentation, and it's not being up in front of people. I said, I was nervous to be up in front of people, and that is true. But I don't have a problem being in front of people and being social and doing that. It's the lead up to it. Is this going to be valuable? Is this actually something? It's so different than any of the other classes that were there that is it actually going to be something that people want to listen to? Um, I hope so. I mean, it came across that it seemed it seemed to be refreshing for people. I mean, people seemed to enjoy it. It was a kind of half mental side, and then um, more or less the structure from there on of how you actually physically work to bridge the gap as the middleman, how you actually do that. Um, Now, next year we'll see. I kind of want to split it into two different sessions. Have a part one mental where we actually work through some real scenarios, and a part two where you actually work through some real scenarios on bridging the gap and actually role playing a little bit. But we'll see. They got to call me back first.
Oh, I don't think that's going to be an issue because I heard something about you being involved in educational ambitions in the future. So yeah, yeah.
I did. Yeah, that was a new one. Just got I asked about it, pushed about it, and I got invited to be on the board of education for PAVEX this year. So really excited about that. I think it's, when I say it's bigger than me, I think it's extremely important now, especially the instructors and the speakers at PaveX are fantastic, especially the ones that have been doing it for a long time. Guy and Brad, they're amazing. And there's a whole host of a bunch of other ones. But as they get older, we need to find a way to carry on how we're going to educate the next generation. And if we don't start getting involved now, it's not going to happen. And that's so it's been I'm really excited about doing it. I'm really excited to be a part of what I think will impact, the next wave.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, people have to step up a little bit. Like there's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of you can learn things from like 20-year-olds all like, absolutely, right? But we need that shared. Now, the thing I left, I obviously you can't go to every speaking engagement at PAVX, but I tried to go to as many as possible. And I was thinking after yours later that day, what was it about your presentation that really stood out? I mean, the quality of the information is obviously like there, but it's the fact that you take the total opposite approach from what every other speaker does. So what I mean by that is like, like people wear really nice clothes and they go up there and they've practiced and they've rehearsed and everything is built and constructed in a way to give value to the audience, but it's entirely predicated on, well, I want this to be as good as possible,
Are
right?
you saying I wouldn't complete opposite?
I'm not saying you went complete opposite. Hey, hold on here. It's not like, okay, he didn't wear sweatpants. Okay. I'm not saying he wore sweatpants or nothing like that. But the first like 30 seconds is like, yeah, I'm a terribly insecure person. And like, let's get into it. And the moment you open with that, you immediately have what I perceived was the buy-in of the whole audience, as opposed to, okay, we're here to take a bunch of notes and learn something. It was like, we're going to learn something, but at the same time, like we're going to be pretty engaged because this is very different from the typical speaking session.
The Hawaiian shirt helps too.
Yeah, that was key. It's clutch Hawaiian shirt. Okay, I should ask actually before you take the screen share down. Can people get a copy of this somehow? Like if people want it.
Yeah, yeah, I'd be happy to do it. Like I said, I am going to change it quite a bit. This is the first year doing it. Um, I definitely plan to. I coach it, so I coach the middleman mindset as well. But if somebody wants to see this, I absolutely would send it out next year. It's going to look different. It's going to be a little bit different as long as I get to come back and do it again. Like I said, it'll probably be a two-phaser, two-part thing. I just didn't get enough time to really break down into what I thought would be the fun of it, which is actually the interaction and actually being able to work through real scenarios of awareness and bridging the gap and what that means.
100%. Perfect segue, my friend, because I wanted to ask you about bridging the gap in BTG services and the foundation group.
I'm gonna stop the share. You good with that?
Oh yeah, go crazy. Go crazy. Man, it's wintertime right now, which for us at our company here in beautiful Prince George, BC, Canada, it's great because we can go plow snow and make money. But for a lot of you guys listening, you have striping businesses. You don't want to get into snow removal. I totally get it. It's not for everyone. How do you make money in the winter? That is the question. Our friends at Mighty Line can help you. So we are a proud believer, and they sponsor this show for a reason. The product is awesome. So if you don't know what Mighty Line is, go to the website. In fact, I'm going to give you a link where they will actually give you a free sample kit. MightyLineTape.com/stripe it. MightyLineTape.com/stripe it. They're going to send you a free sample kit of some of their most commonly used products. This product can be used indoors during the wintertime in industrial facilities, warehouses. They have custom work, so much stuff that your customers will love, and it will help keep their facilities safe too. So if you don't want to go plow snow, but you'd still like to make money in the winter, MightyLineTape.com/stripe it. That will let them know that you were listening, and they will send you a free sample kit of their products. It launched.
It launched.
Tell the world, but I can't even remember. Even though it was only 15 episodes ago, we probably talked about it. I think you teased it, but the foundation group is live. I'm in it. What else should people know?
Um, I actually don't know if we talked about it last time. I know we talked about BTG. Um, I I love peer groups. Number one, I love the idea. I don't know everything, and I'll be the first to admit that I don't. I'm not going to be the one to teach everybody, you know, what there is to know about construction or mindset or um, struggles, whatever it is, or fitness for that reason, because we talk about fitness in the foundation group as well. But I'm excited to learn. I love perspectives, and I'm addicted to figuring out a way that impacts people more than me. And I like seeing people win. And that's really what the foundation group is about. I looked, I've been a part of a few. I'm still a part of probably two or three now. Um, but I started, 'cause I never found exactly what I wanted. And I always knew, I've always had a love for fitness and development. And when I was struggling, I had no way of mentally, when I was struggling, it wasn't just admitting that I was struggling, it was I had no way to process it. And I developed habits that allowed me to process this information. And the question I kept coming back was, man, the fitness, the writing, the reading, the gratitude, all this stuff is helping. And what helps more than that is talking about it. Well, the industry, the construction, we're unique. We have our own unique problems that go on that aren't necessarily like any other industry. Um, and people don't, one, let's say mental health in general in the industry, we don't talk about it enough. I think that's very evident. I think it's getting better. It's far better than it ever was. But and I'm not ever going to try to be a therapist or a psychiatrist or any of that nature. But I think what's different is I'm not scared to talk about it. I'm not scared to go on one of these Zoom calls in the peer group and say, all right, for today, the question is, what's your biggest fear? And we're going to talk about it. And everybody's going to share. And that's part of the stipulation of being in that group. And that's honestly what I love about it. I did a post about the group today. What I love most about it is the wide range of people we got in there.
Hmm.
Um, Mechanics, operators, foremen, superintendents, owners, senior managers, salesmen, vendors. And not to mention age, demographic, and all over, as of right now, quite a variety of locations in the United States as well. We got about 15 people in the group so far, and it's been great because the different perspectives is what I wanted. Most peer groups I've been a part of have been, okay, owners here or senior managers and owners, but the field struggles too. The mechanics struggle too. The dump truck drivers struggle too. And honestly, I've been blown away in a lot of my one-on-ones that I had with our guys and other people of, wow, I didn't even think about that perspective. And you get that because of your position in the field. Well, I need to find a way to bring these together because I think there's a lot of other owners and senior managers who don't see this too, you know, but we can all relate to the same struggles. And that's what it's about. It's about being able to relate to it. It's about being willing to talk about struggles of what we got going on. But more than anything, it's the struggles aren't going to win. Nobody in that group is willing to give up. So it's addressing, yeah, it's there, but we're going to push through it. And when you have people who you can share your goals with, but you can get held, you know that they're to support you, but at the same time, they're going to hold your feet to the fire. You're going to be held accountable to doing it because you said you wanted to be better. And if you're saying you want to be better and I truly care about you, I'm going to hold you to a higher standard. And that's what I think this group is going to do. It's been about a month. A lot of us have connected. It's been actually just over a month today. A lot of us have already connected quite a bit. I I love seeing the chatter in the group chat, on a Saturday morning about guys picking brains or talking about wins, getting tips on what to eat for breakfast or fitness related, talking about somebody running the mile or running their, whatever they're running in the morning or their workout. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
You've been in construction a long time, civil before and now paving. And you're also way older than me because I'm 34. So you're like so much older than me. But a serious question here for a second. Do you think it's getting harder for people in construction? So you just said like, hey, I've got it. This group has foremen and owners and vendors, and so wide background. Is it getting harder?
Is construction getting harder?
Is the struggles like I'll tell you what I think, and you tell me if I'm way off base or maybe you even disagree, and that'll be interesting. But life's busy, and there's more distractions than ever. People are generally, what I think, they appear to be more distracted than ever. And with great resources and great access to information and technology and resources, sometimes you just get overwhelmed, and that sometimes makes more problems. Um, that's what I think. I think it's getting harder for people. Do you think I'm wrong?
I no, not entirely. I think it's getting wrong in a whole host of ways. So um, I think that it's getting harder in the industry. One, because the needs of those coming in is different.
Mm.
What the next generation, and I'm a millennial. I like to consider myself, on the other side, but honestly, I'm right there in the middle, and I know people said it about um, my group as well. But what the next generation is looking for is widely different than what the Gen Zs, widely different than the baby boomers. And so in terms of, is it getting more difficult? Yeah, you better believe it. The A lot of the older generation is struggling to relate and communicate, for one, with the next generation. That is where I think guys and gals like you and me, as those millennials, we are actually right there in the middle, in the perfect spot to bridge that gap. I think that is a responsibility that we do carry. um, and social media sucks.
This is from a guy who's pretty involved on it, but tell me why it sucks.
It's when you yeah, I use social media. I'm not.
I don't mean you're a hypocrite. You know.
It is so easy to compare yourself to other people now, which that seems to be the problem. That is how I think it's getting harder. Whereas before, you wouldn't necessarily have, hey, I've got the 10 guys around me working, and we're all struggling, we're all making about the same, we're all doing the same thing. But now I can see a Johnny and Kim and Amy and Matt and Brian and all these people who I went to school with, who are 10 levels above me, at least, or trained that way, showing off their best life. And I think that's a stem of where a lot of the mental struggles are coming from. People are comparing themselves to everybody else. I've been there. I've done it. I still do it. Thinking I need to be so much farther ahead. I get caught up of, hey, I need to be here with these guys, with these gals who are pushing this, and I'm behind. And you got to really pull yourself back in, and that's where the gratitude stuff comes in. That's why I write. I have a gratitude journal that I write in at night, and when I do that, it brings me back to, no, but where did you come from? Where in the last year, when the first time I ever went to Pavex, to now speaking at two events, having a peer group, having not only a team that I get the opportunity to lead, but also individuals in the industry that I'm now coaching to be the integrator, to be the right hand man. Um, that doesn't happen. That's like that. That's that all happened in 12 months. Well, who knows what the next 12 months is going to bring.
Yeah. Switching gears here for a second because unfortunately I'm watching the clock. They threatened to kick us out of here in 24 minutes. So I want to get to this. You can tell a lot about someone by the books they read. So this is this is what showed up in the mail for one of the newer Foundation Group members, Cam Roberts. The Energy Bus. 10 rules to fuel your life, work, and team with positive energy. I panicked when I saw it because I was like, I've got a lot of books to read. I've got the stack. I can't keep up. This one I'm going to read decently quick, thankfully. Why this book? Why the energy bus?
I it's funny because that book is honestly so different than any other book. It's a fictional story, of of a guy named George. Obviously, you haven't even started reading it yet.
Next week I have to start. Yeah.
And it's it's about a guy who lost his way. He used to be the guy. He used to be the jock. He used to, he won his wife. He did all this stuff. And he was, everybody was like, man, the sky's the limit. And now he's not. It's he's he's constantly upset. The victim is the big one in that book. He becomes the victim and all the stuff, and then all that his, work, life, personal, whatever it is. I read that book probably 3 or 4 times a year. And because it's so in the moment, my brain flips to, oh, I feel like the victim, or I feel the energy down. I'm a big proponent of energy. And when I feel that drop, I'm like, I gotta go hear about George again. And John Gordon does a fantastic job with that book. Um, it's what I really like about it, as far as I listen to that, I tend to listen to that one a lot on audio. And it's not a deep, deep book that you need to have a notebook out to write in and go through all that. But it's basically, the idea is, it's basically a bus driver who turns out to be like a pseudo therapist, psychiatrist, and turns his life around with 10 rules of energy. And it's how you realize that the energy you put out there, you are responsible for. You can control, you can choose. And when you do, it impacts far more people than you realize.
So how is it manifesting in for you then? Because you've read this many times. This is obviously a big thing for you. So like you take these principles, you put it in at work, at home.
Yeah, I do, and I definitely pick different ones depending on the scenario. If you told me to recite them right now, I couldn't. So don't ask me that. um, but there are ones like enjoy the ride, and get others on your bus. Make sure you've got everybody on your bus, and it's it really opens your eyes up to who's around you and how you play that impact. When I'm coming to work and I've had a bad, maybe I had a bad night, or I didn't get any sleep, less sleep than I typically get, um, or day didn't go well yesterday, whatever it is, or the morning's already started off terrible before I even got into work, everything's chaotic, and I've treated it almost like it's a light switch. It's like, well, that's fine, but I have 30 to 40 people who still need me, and I can choose to put out. If I don't put the energy out, then nobody else is going to put the energy out. And if I can't convince them that they should be on my bus today, then we're already off. Everybody's off the bus in a hurry. So it really brings that into perspective. I think there's one in there. I made a joke about it with my wife the other night. I said, "You need to be the CEO." She was, "What are you talking about?" The chief energy officer. Because that's what they talk about in the book. And I got a massive eye roll. But it is it is um, as corny as that may be, you need it. You need somebody. And at times, I think there's people who feed off of energy, and there's people who can create energy. Um, the lucky ones can do both. I definitely feed off energy, but have had to learn how to create energy. How to go to a job site that has had everything go wrong, and how do you turn it around? How do you get 10 to 15 guys to now pick it up after they've worked 12 hours and nothing has gone right, and we've still got 4 to go? You know, it's trying to find ways to do that.
Well, I'm excited to dive into it, and I don't know, man. A thought just popped in my brain while you were talking. This podcast, even, I'm actually very surprised that we don't get more haters. We should get more haters, because if you listen to the first 10 episodes, it was me going to my wife's nail studio, basically, and just recording like me solo talking about line striping. And so now it's shifted quite a bit. Now we have, a lot more thoughtful discussions, I would say. And surprisingly, nobody is like freaked out about it. At least not comes to my head. That tells me something, that like stuff like putting energy in your life, stuff like identifying your potential toxic personality, your default character. I truthfully believe that stuff matters in business. That stuff matters way more than what sales system are you using, right? Especially when you have a team of people, especially when you have a team, and that's when it becomes really important. Like, how are you leading? How are you gathering a group of vastly different personalities into a team and making it work cohesively? That actually moves the needle, I think, more than anything else.
I agree, and I think that is honestly I've the it's why I coach my kids. Obviously, we talked about my daughter. I coach my kids in sports, and it's why I enjoy coaching, and it's why I do it both, at Central Paving, where I get that opportunity, and why I've started doing it to help align these teams. And it's not, yeah, I know I have skills and experience when it comes to how to manage jobs and how to plan and how to manage people and do those things. But more than anything, the people already have the skill set. They already know what to do. Oftentimes, they might have the skill, more skill than me in that typical spot. It's the mindset that they're missing. It's the mentality of, how do I think like the owner? How do I think like the customer? And what's unique about when I do that is I take equal parts of talking with the owner, getting what they want, so that I can use that to align with how I coach. And then a constant check-in, and I become the middleman. But in that way, it's about getting people to realize that they are in control. They have the ability to choose. And if you want to be that guy or that gal who is the right hand man, is the one who runs the company for the owner, you absolutely have the ability to do that. And an owner would like nothing more than to see you think like them and understand how they're thinking. And same with the customer, same with an inspector, it's everybody. If you can learn to think like them and what they want, and sometimes it's as simple as asking. A lot of people don't want to ask. It's as simple as asking and then saying, I want the opportunity, and then showing it, and how you do that. That's where the skill comes in. That's where you use your experience and your skill and your knowledge. But yeah.
3 minutes. Countdown's on. Before we hit record, you did a lot of talking today, apparently, because you recorded already with somebody else on a different show. And then you just said before I hit record, you're like, yeah, this is going to be great. I just got out of a 3-hour meeting at Central Paving. So I don't know how much you can share, but I don't know, share with the world. I mean, anyone who doesn't know the story, go listen to the last episode 90 with Bryce. Cool story of this company. Very cool. So what are you guys working on? Give me the deets.
So right now, I mean, the last 3-hour meeting was actually going over um, our as we switch the sales structure and the operation structure. Then comes, we are a very transparent company. We like to share information and give people, we probably overshare information to our team
Internally, yeah.
yeah. And when that, so what we're looking right now is how we build a dashboard that allows our team to see the goals. Are they achieving the goals with the new KPIs, with the new lead measures that we set in? and the incentive structure behind that. That's what we're working on.
That's cool. So probably like bigger picture, bigger KPIs, holistic goals, and then I presume then breaking it down into like departments and like, hey, this department's on track, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so we've basically got our annual sales goal, and then our sales team, they each have set now. We've got our account managers will have their individual sales goals. And on the operations side, we're focused a lot this year as if going back to the fundamentals, because that tends to be what we forget. So we're hitting home on building the routine habits and the fundamentals just of, you know, going back and forth on efficiency, what saves money, what saves time, what saves, equipment hours, all those things. We're reinstilling those and driving those home because we've got a fairly young crew, a fairly new crew. We're probably 75 to 80% of our field crew is new within the last year or last season. So it's re re-hitting on those and building that, much like we do in the foundation group. It's building that accountability of, okay, now I need to be able to step back. That's my goal, of being able to step out of the truly day-to-day, details. And to do that, I need to be able to give our team a way to self-govern. I need to be able to give a way for them to be, have autonomy to do that. And that starts with building, building the habits to, to focus on the fundamentals first, and then we're going from there. So we're excited. It's been a lot of fun. Really excited to tie it all together. We've had a handful of different incentive programs over the years. Excited to get that one nailed down in the books and keeping it very simple. We've gone complex in the past, and it's never good. So keeping it very simple, so everybody can understand it.
Amazing. Amazing. 1 minute to plug everything. Go. I want people to know about the foundation group and BTG and Central Paving. So, and if they want the slide deck, etc. So go crazy.
Yeah. Obviously, the foundation group, we're looking to build that as much as possible. It's only $99 a month, and we're already getting people who want to come in and speak. I've got a few phone calls with people who want to come speak and lead classes. Some of them mental health experts, different people in the industry who have struggled, been through that. So, anybody who wants to be a part of it, or thinks they might want to be a part of it, I'm welcome to get them in a call. We do 2 calls a month, 2 Zoom calls a month. We have an online chat group. Obviously, we read a book a quarter as well and discuss that. Various little habit challenges that I'll do on a daily basis. Also working on some fitness and habit-based challenges that are going to be more longer term, that we get to build from there. So that, and then, this is relatively new for me, but in the last few months. But if there's any companies, especially small, mid-size owner operators who are looking to expand and bring that up, I want to help. So, those construction companies, those paving companies who are looking to, you've got the structure, you've got, what you want, but you don't necessarily have the time to build the framework or find out if you have the right person in place. I can help. I can help do that. That's probably the one area I would say I have confidence in. That is something that I've excelled at, and getting into this spot, and thriving in this spot from a project manager up to now a general manager. So I'd love to do it. Love to help people build. I want to see people win. I want to see not just the paving and maintenance side of this industry, the construction industry. I've got commercial experience, residential experience, heavy civil, and now paving. So love nothing more than to see the people in our industry win.
Great way to end it. Great way to end it. The 2-time returning guest himself, Bryce Harem. Thank you for coming back, man. Much appreciated. And we're going to put all the links again, where to find Bryce, in the show notes, so that no one's lacking. Everyone can find you. And thank you for all the work you're doing, man. Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it, sir.
I'm sure at some point we'll three-peat. You'll be the first three-peat. How about that?
I love it. Hey, maybe I'll start one and I'll bring you on. How's that?
Deal. Done. I'm in. Book me. All right. We're going to get out of here so we don't get yelled at. Thank you. Appreciate it. Go follow Bryce, everyone. Go follow Bryce.